it was yesterday and us having that interview, and it was because of what happened to Tamir Rice that, the governor, John Kasich, and Governor Kasich is certainly a conservative Republican. Everybody knows I'm a hell-raising humanitarian. But we were able to get together, and the governor created a task force on community and police relations because of that murder of Tamir Rice. We wanted to make sure that there were no incidences of violence that would erupt in the city of Cleveland or throughout Ohio. And we understood that people needed to have their voices heard. And that was in the latter part of 2014, Amy, as you remember. And we traveled the entire state in 2015 and collected information from citizens all across the state about how they felt about relationship or lack thereof with law enforcement agencies in the state of Ohio. And for the first time in Ohio's history, there are standards and the first standard we put together was the use of deadly force. So one of the questions I would have for the mayor of Akron and the chief of Akron is whether or not they are adhering to the standards of the use of deadly force and the use of force. Now, standards alone cannot do it. I agree with the Reverend in that this is a cultural dynamic, not just in the Akron Police Department, but in police departments all over this country. And it is very much coupled with a whole notion of treating Black bodies, Black minds, Black spirits as somehow less than everybody else. And if you are a Black man in America, you are indeed an endangered species, and that the laws that have been created in this country and the way that they are implemented shows it very clear that there is no respect. That was a firing squad that happened to Jalen. And so we have Cremo, who just killed people, injured folks, armed. He was taken unharmed. You know what? He's going to have his day in court. It would have been nice if Jalen would have been able to have his day in court too. But no, he's a Black man, so he is treated differently. And I'm not saying that I want white men, white young men or older men, white men treated the way Black men are treated. What I do want is for Black men and boys to be treated like we treat white men and white boys. Police officers are not here to be judge, jury, and executioner. No matter what had happened, they should have brought him in. And certainly 60 bullets hitting this young man's body, and then they handcuffed him and then try to perform CPR, whatever the hell they said they were doing. You can't do. He's a man. He's not superhuman. He was a man, a young man, but they treated him as though his life did not matter. The Black Lives Matter movement, that's what it meant, Amy and Juan. Black lives matter too. It is curious to me how these mass shootings among white men, they'll be picked up, they'll be taken to Burger King, they live to go to court. But for Black men in particular, they don't. We have a problem in this country, and we got to deal with it and stop playing around with it.
And Nina Turner, I wanted to ask you, in terms of the Black Lives Matter movement, it seems to me, and I've covered police and law enforcement for more than 40 years, so I'm very familiar with how police departments work. It seemed to me that in the aftermath of the Black Lives Matter movement, many of these police unions and police forces around the country almost entered into a slowdown. They no longer wanted to fight crime, because in some ways the police unions egg their members on to say, okay, they want to put the cuffs on us now. They want to restrict us. We're just going to let crime soar. And in fact, a lot of this crime, the soaring of the crime rate that so many other people mention these days, I believe is a result of deliberate actions by these police unions to change public opinion. I'm wondering your sense of the power of these police unions across the country.
No, they are all powerful, and Juan, I do agree with what you're saying in terms of the slowdown. I know that they're good law enforcement. I have law enforcement in my family, and I get it because I can see this I try to see it from all of the sides. But there comes situations where there is no gray. And what happened to Jalen, there is no gray. And so we need law enforcement agencies, good police officers, need to be just as outraged as Reverend Green and I are. They need to be just as outraged as the Black elected officials of Summit County who are really standing up and taking a leadership position in this, calling on the Department of Justice to come in and do an investigation. One thing that the city did do that I definitely agree with is to ask the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigations to step in, because the city of Akron cannot be trusted to do its own investigations. And Reverend Green just laid out why they cannot be trusted. So we need the Ohio Bureau of Investigations, but we also need the DOJ to step in here as well. We have a cultural problem within law enforcement agencies in the United States of America, and culture can be and must be changed, and it must start at the top, and there must be consequences for when that culture is not changed. Another thing that needs to happen is that more people of color need to be recruited to be in these law enforcement agencies, and more women as well. Now,
all right, Shalom. First, I can start by saying all praise to Yahweh Bashim Shai, Bashim Kakadash, double honors to the elders and apostles that rule well, and salutations to the brothers that's doing the truth and sincerity. So I'm gonna go ahead and start this off. With Psalm chapter 17, verse 13, it says, "Arise, O Lord Yahweh, disappoint him, cast him down, deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword." Right, the wicked is Esau, Edomite, the Caucasian race, man. The Caucasian man, in particular, right now. Esau is the Lord's sword. Hence the reason why Esau is in power now today, and they use their police force to execute judgment upon Jake, man. And it's coming from Yahweh Shema Shai, man. That's why it's happening the way it's happening, because Jake don't want to turn back to Yahweh Shema Shai, man. And Jake don't understand that Esau is their enemy, man. Genesis chapter 49, verse 9, Judah is a lion's whelp. From the prey, my son, thou art gone up. The prey was Esau. He stood down, he couched as a lion, and as a old lion, who shall rouse him up? Right, man, Jake is crouched over. Meaning they don't know who they are according to the Bible, man. They are following the philosophies of this world, which is basically destroying them and having them get put to death, man. They're not standing up no more for righteousness like they were once at one point in time, man. And the only person that's going to rouse Jacob is the Lord, man, because it's evident. And it's been happening since forever type shit, man. Esau has always been our enemy, one. But two, from slavery up until now today, Esau's been showing you that he's been your enemy. And then an event like this, you would think Jacob would start snapping and start taking vengeance, so to speak, man. Start taking matters into their own hands and killing white people, but the Lord will have to rouse Jacob, because being shot over 60 plus times, you can tell that there was like she said, a firing squad. You should be infuriated, man, especially since this is I don't know when this event happened. I think they said this happened like a year ago or something like that. But this isn't the first event that has happened, and there's been multiple events on top of everybody's own personal experiences, man. So you would think Jake a snap, but it's all in the Lord's hand, man. This is Baruch chapter 3, verse 8. It says, Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us. Right, so we were scattered over here and put in our captivity from the Lord, man, because of our sins, man. For a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, taxes, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our power. Right, man. Hold on, let me see. I'm going to jump to verse 10. It says, How happeneth Israel that thou art in thine enemy's land, that thou art waxed old in a strange country, America, that thou art defiled with the dead. Right, man. We are in our enemy's land right now. This land was our homeland, was taken from us, and then even the tribes that came over here got this land taken from them, man. So we are in our enemy's land right now, man. And Jake and them not keep forgetting that this is going on, man, because they want to live happily and comfortably next to their enemy, man. And most Jakes want to live without getting payback, so to speak, man. But that's why the Lord judging them the way He is, man, because they don't want to know the truth. They don't want to know the truth at all. This First Peter chapter 4, verse 17 says, For the time is come that judgment must begin at the house of the Most High. And if it first begin at us, right, the men that got the truth, the prophets, the judgment is beginning at the men that got the truth, man. It says, what shall be the end of them that obey not the gospel of the Most High? Right, man. And this is a prime example, getting shot 60 times. The judgment that's coming is, and then that ain't even as bad as it's going to get. It's finna get even worse than what has happened to him, man. Because Jake don't want to adhere to the law, statutes, and commandments, man. They don't want to line up with the truth so that they can be delivered, man. Let me see if I got one more. Slovakia. All right, yeah. Now I'm gonna go ahead and end it off with that precept. With that being said, man, call on your